Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is having a nice holiday season so far. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hereby call to order the Orange Unified School District Board meeting for December 14th, 2022 to order. Can you please stand for the pledge? Okay, item 3B, report of closed session decisions. Dr. Hanson?
There's nothing to report.
Thank you, Dr. Hanson. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda for today?
I'll move it.
Trustee Ortega moves.
Second.
Trustee Ledesma second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is adopted, 7-0. Go on to 3D, National Special Education Day. Dr. Hanson?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Yamasaki. I'd like to invite up our Executive Director of Special Education, Dr. Sue Singh, in honor of Special Education Day during this month of December. We'd like to highlight one of our special education programs, and you'll hear about what you were served, your coffee and your tea and your hot chocolate this evening.
Superintendent Dr. Hanson, Executive Cabinet, staff and community, thank you for recognizing and celebrating our students and staff on National Special Education Day, a pivotal day in our history that made public education accessible and available to all students with disabilities across the country. The Special Education Department collectively extends gratitude to all of you tonight for your ongoing support. And we are sincerely, sincerely grateful for the opportunity tonight for this celebration. As a token of our appreciation, please enjoy your personalized coffee order on your specially prepared placemat by our baristas from the Orange High School Panther Cafe. Right there. In the back. The sweet treats that accompany your coffee tonight have been packaged by our 18 to 22-year-old students in the Adult Transition Program. So thank you to them. Additionally, we have our Orange High School students who would like to present each of you with a wreath, which is in front of you, prepared specially by our elementary age students in the district's regionalized programs under the direction of our occupational therapists. So I'm going to invite our students over to do the presentation to you. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Ms. Kelly and her team here. In honor of National Special Education Day, we also have a brief video presentation to share with you tonight that captures the voices and hearts of our students. So, Max, if you could please start this brief highlight. Thank you.
I am proud of working and studying hard.
My favorite part of school is being with my friends and my teachers.
I'm proud of counting to 200. I love circle time. My favorite part of school is math. I'm proud of reading my sight words. I like to do math with my friends.
So one thing I'm proud of is my strength and resilience.
I'm proud of my helper in class.
I gotta say the thing I mostly like about school is like getting new friends.
I am proud of using Braille.
I am proud of using my magnifier to read.
My favorite thing about school is doing art because I grew up painting.
I'm happy when my teacher helps me in math. I am proud of myself for writing.
I am happy to have help at school.
I like Mr. Seed. I'm proud of being in Orange, California.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. Would you like to recognize your teacher that's here?
We're so proud of Ms. Kelly and her team here.
Thank you so much. And this is the famous coffee cart, so you can see what the students actually come here to the district office, and they were here this past week and shared the coffee cart on campus, and they sold some of their wreaths to the employees here, and they sold the coffee. So it's wonderful to have them on campus with us, and we celebrate the holidays together. Thank you once again.
Thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you for the coffee. Okay. Go on to item 4, oath of office. Dr. Hansen.
Thank you, President Yamasaki. Orange Unified has received the official results of the November 8th, 2022 general election from Neil Kelly, the Registrar of Voters in Orange County. So this evening, we announced the official results of the general election for the Orange Unified School District Governing Board, and all the board members have on the dais the results of the official certified election results. They're also in our official published packet. So I'd like to congratulate our newly elected and re-elected trustees. Trustee Area 1, Andrea Yamasaki. Congratulations. Trustee Area 4, Madison Minor. Congratulations. Trustee Area 5, Chris Erickson. Congratulations. And Trustee Area 7, Rick Ledesma. Congratulations. So with the certified election results, this evening we will administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members. And we'll start with Trustee Area 1. And so Andrea Yamasaki and I will go down, I believe you'll be able to get this filmed and pictures. We'll do the oath, and then we'll go to Trustee Area 4, and then on so forth to 5 and 7. So I'll go ahead and start. So Ms. Yamasaki, if you'd like to join me. She should have the mic. Yeah.
Oh,
Is that a good spot for it?
right here?
As close to the mic as you can.
Okay.
How about here? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Okay, so repeat after me. I, Andre Yamasaki, do solemnly swear
I, Andrea Yamasaki, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation and purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, do you want a picture now, or you want it at the end?
Let's do all four, I think.
Do it each one.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do it separate.
Next, I'd like to introduce Madison Miner, who is being sworn in by Crystal Miles, council member of the City of Villa Park. Welcome, Ms. Miles.
Thank you.
Okay, I, Madison Miner,
I, Madison Miner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
and that I take this obligation freely
and I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties of about which I'm about to enter.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very proud of
Now I'd like to ask Ms. Erickson, who is going to be sworn in by retired federal judge Lynn Riddle.
First of all, thank you so very much. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you here.
Thank you.
Closer to the mic. Closer.
Okay.
Before we start,
Yes.
I must see what I'm doing. Raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Kristen Erickson,
I, Kristen Erickson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United
and to
States
the Constitution of the State of California,
and to the Constitution of the State of California,
and that I take this obligation freely
and that I take this obligation freely
and without any mental reservation
and without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and
And-
faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now for trustee area 7, Mr. Rick Ledesma is sworn in by his nephew, Stephen Michael Joseph Ledesma Jr., deputy deputy sheriff for Orange County. Welcome, Mr. Ledesma Jr.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Rick Ledesma,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations to all of our trustees. And do you want a group photo with who swore them in, or how do you want just the four new ones? The four. Okay, so all of you that swore in, and with your new trustee, if you could stand up, and I'll go stand with you, Andrea.
Just along here is good. Come on in the front. Stand in front of the front of those podiums. Come on over.
He wants to try and get us all in.
Stand as possible. Yeah. 2 more steps that way. Awesome.
I think they're trying to get us in.
I'll let you right here real quick, and then we'll take turns with the family. Oh, you good? You want it? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much to those of you that traveled near and far to come and swear in our trustees. I know that this is a ceremonial piece and it's a celebration for them all, and we appreciate you being here. So next part is the annual organization meeting.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and start?
So each year at this time, per the board bylaw 9100, it specifies that the board shall hold an annual organization meeting and elects its entire slate of officers. So Board President Andrea Yamasaki will conduct the annual organization meeting for the election of the board president. And at the time the new board president is elected, then that president will take over and assume the process of electing the rest of the officers of the board. So I would ask that you start the nominations for board president.
Do I have any nominations for board president?
Yeah, I'll nominate Rick Ledesma for board president.
Trustee Ortega nominates Rick Ledesma. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Rumsey, seconds. Are there any discussion? So this is my first annual organization meeting, so.
So there are several ways you can do it. You can take all nominations first, sorry. You can take all the nominations first, or you can take them one by one. So you
Okay.
have a first and a second for Mr. Ledesma. You can go ahead and vote on that, or you can take additional nominations.
Okay. Do I have any additional nominations for president?
I'll nominate Chris Erickson.
Okay. Trustee Rumsey nominates Chris Erickson.
No.
I'm sorry, Trustee Page nominates Chris Erickson. I'll second. All right. So then we will go to.
Then you vote on the first nomination.
Okay, we'll vote on the first nomination. All those in favor to have Rick Ledesma as president, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that's 4. Sorry. All those opposed? I guess we have to do. Yeah, all those opposed? 3? Aye. I mean, nay. Yeah. So, 4-3.
Yep.
Mr. Ledesma is the new president.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay. Do you want to continue the meeting now?
Ms. Eric, did you get the vote? Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Yamasaki. Let's see if I can remember how to do this again. Let's see. It is recommended that the Board of Education elect a board vice president for the 23-24 school year. I'd like to just take this time to nominate Mr. John Ortega as vice president.
I'll second.
Okay. First is Ledesma. Second is Ms. Rumsey. Any discussion? Are there any nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Anna Page.
Okay, that's a nomination 1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Second, Mrs. Yamasaki. Ms. Erickson has the first nomination. Any discussion? Okay, I'd like to take the vote on Mr. Ortega as vice president. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, 4-3. Motion passes. Mr. Ortega, congratulations. You're the vice president of the board. Now I'd like to take nominations for election of board clerk.
I'd like to nominate Angie Rumsey.
Okay. Angie Rumsey. That's a nomination by Ms. Erickson. Do I have a second?
I'm on now. I'll second.
Okay. Second by the new kid, Mrs. Minor. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Okay, I'll take the vote now. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Rumsey. 7-0 vote. At this time, I'd like to appoint the board secretary, or secretary to the board. It is recommended that the Board of Education appoint the superintendent, Dr. Gun Marie Hansen, to the position of secretary of the board. Any nominations in terms of that?
It's her.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Dr. Hansen, secretary of the board. Okay, now we're on to item F. Let's see, it'd be 5F. and that is, it is recommended that the Board of Education appoint members to appropriate to serve as board representatives to the listed committees. And there's 3 committees: Orange City Schools Coordinating Committee, City Villa Park School Representation Committee, and Legislative Coalition. Typically, we kind of first ask for volunteers who want to, I think it's, Dr. Hanson, I think it's 2 per committee? Is that
Up to
how it
3.
works, or 3? Up to 3?
I think we could take up to 3.
Okay, up to 3 per committee.
But you certainly don't have to have 3, but you can take up to 3.
Right. So let's take the first one, if my colleagues don't mind. Is Orange City Schools, are there 3? Ms. Page, okay, you 3 here? Okay, all right.
For the record, is it Chris Erickson, Andrea Yamasaki, Anna Page? Okay.
Okay. So is that something we vote on?
Yes.
Yes, you would vote to approve those 3 as your representatives to the committee.
Okay. All right. Now, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 7-0. What's that? I mean, committee appointments pass 7-0? Oh, okay, motion? Thank you.
Asking.
Yes, who made, okay.
Who made the motion?
Who made the motion? Well, I think,
you made the motion.
yeah.
And who did the second?
And who did the second?
Was there a second?
Okay, Ms. Erickson did second. All right. Thank you. All right, so let's move on now. We'll get this right this time. City of Villa Park School Representation Committee, do we have 3 that would like to be a part of that?
I will.
Rumsey, Minor, Mr. Ortega? Okay. Who's making the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Ortega, who's seconding it?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, Legislative Coalition. Do I have 3 members that would like to be a part of that?
I'd like to continue.
Ms. Yamasaki?
Sure.
Ms. Minor?
They meet at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays.
Sounds fun.
Okay?
Do I have a third? Okay, we'll keep it.
I'll join.
Okay, Ms. Page?
Yeah.
All right, so we have Ms. Yamasaki, Mrs. Minor, Ms. Page wanting to be on this board. Okay, and who made the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Rumsey, second.
I'll second.
Ms. Yamasaki, second. Thank you. All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Great, motion passes 7-0. Okay, we're on to approval of the calendar, regular board meetings. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt the regular board meeting agenda as noted for the 23 school year. Has everybody had a chance to review the calendar, and would you like to make any changes?
I would like to recommend that. I don't know why, well, I do know why, but having all these extra placeholder meetings, when we just are scheduled already for the ones we have, minus the one for May due to the May revise.
You mean leave the May placeholder in place?
Due to the May revise.
Okay.
So, Mr. Ortega, you're proposing to remove February 16th, June 22nd, and September 28th?
Correct.
Placeholders.
Placeholder meeting.
Does anybody oppose that or something different?
Well, I think it's important that we reserve these dates in advance so that we can plan our schedules, because we ultimately have things that we need to do. So then we can schedule it, and if we don't need it, we can cancel as needed.
Okay, so you want...
Because we're planning our vacations right now, and then that way, there won't be any surprises on us, and we'll be able to make the meetings if we know that there's a placeholder. And if
Okay.
it's not necessary, we can always cancel.
So you want to keep the placeholders as they
Yes.
are? Okay. Any changes to dates?
I would like to, if possible, change the March date to the following Thursday, if that is possible.
March, the following Thursday.
I think is the 16th.
I have a conflict with March 16th.
I think we also have internally some HR requirements that need to be done before the middle of the month.
It's the March 15th.
Correct.
What about March 2nd? Because we actually, our February meeting is February 2nd, so it's a fairly long.
Okay, how's everybody, what does everybody think about that? March 2nd instead of March 9th?
I looked at February, sorry.
I think that's fine.
I'm not finding one.
That works.
Works for me.
Okay, so I'm going to take these one by one.
Okay.
So Mr. Ortega's suggestion was, I'll take that one first, and then Mrs. Yamasaki's, and then this March 2nd. Okay, so do I have a motion to eliminate placeholders February 16th, the 22nd, and the 28th?
I'll move it.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ortega, second by Mrs. Minor. Any discussion? All-
I just add to it that it's better to have them in place and not need them than to need them and not have them. That's
Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Motion passes 4-3. So, Ms. Yamasaki, that makes your, I think that we've already established the placeholder situation.
Just to clarify, we still have May 18th as a placeholder, correct?
Yes.
We
Yes.
do to May
With that
revise.
vote, we just have the May 18th placeholder. Okay, now, we want a motion on changing the March 9th date to March 2nd.
I'll move it.
I'll second. So, moved by Ms. Erickson, second by Ledesma. So this is, now we are voting on the entire calendar,
Can I make one other revision on a date then?
on the regular meetings, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Being that we may not have a meeting on June 22nd, I was going to propose that we move the July meeting 1 week ahead.
What date would
to
that be?
July 13th.
So change the July 20th meeting to the July 13th meeting?
Because otherwise, the span is really big, long, and
Is that a Thursday? The 13th?
could be.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yours is different than mine.
You don't have,
So-
it's July 20th.
And then,
Yeah,
okay.
yes.
Anybody have anything different or oppose?
I'm not able to be there.
You're not able to be there? Okay. Any other options there, Mr. Yamasaki, besides the July 13th?
Well, we can't do the weekend before because that's 4th of July weekend, right? Well, July 20th is my son's birthday, and we were planning to go out.
Well, what's the Thursday before the 13th?
It's the
The 6th.
6th.
It's the
And
week of
I
4th of
wouldn't
July.
recommend that with the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No 6 then.
I mean, you could go to the 27th if that helps.
Well,
That's
it
almost
being
2 months.
summer in July, I mean, couldn't we
getting
do
really
like
late.
a Tuesday or a Monday or?
That's,
Oh, we can do it, yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday. Does that work?
The 18th of July or something?
So that
July
would be
19th, July 19th?
July 11th, 12th? Or is it you out that whole week?
I'm out that week.
Okay.
Or July 19th, maybe, the Wednesday.
July 19th?
Ms. Yamasaki, are you gone the whole week?
Well, we're in the process of planning our vacation, and I
So
was
then we
planning
skip
to
that
be.
week, so. We do Monday the 24th or Tuesday the 25th, or, I don't know.
Are you gone that entire week?
Mm-hmm.
Is July 6th really bad? Oh, I see, because the 4th is on Tuesday.
Right.
I was thinking it was a work week, but yeah, people would go on vacation.
You could do Monday, July 24th.
Does that work? The 24th?
I don't have my summer schedule yet, so we're going to approve what we're going to approve.
Okay. I'm good on the 24th.
July 24th?
Good.
July 24th. So, Ms. Erickson, will you withdraw your motion?
Sure.
And I will withdraw my motion. So now, is there a motion for the calendar changes March 2nd, from March 9th to March 2nd, and from July 20th to July 24th? Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay,
Is the 24th a Monday?
A Monday.
Yes.
so moved by Ms. Erickson. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Ms. Page. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0. Okay, now we go on to announcements and acknowledgements. 6A, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Ledesma. Well, as is customary, when we shift to a new president, we acknowledge our outgoing president. So I'd like to thank Trustee Yamasaki for her incredible leadership over the last year, and all that she's contributed to this Board of Education, and of course her reelection and her continuing leadership on this board. So what we have is our ceremonial gavel, which we give to our outgoing president, and it says, Andrea Yamasaki, OUSD Board President, 2022. So thank you so much for your service. About to get that out. Was I supposed to keep it in there? Sorry. Thank you so much.
Watery.
I'm going to get you that. Let me put it back. Okay.
All right, I'll keep that.
Okay. I made a mess out of that.
Thank you. Is it okay if I say a few words now, or should I wait? Oh, okay. Just want to say I had the honor and privilege of serving as president for this last year. It's been quite rewarding and yet challenging at the same time. I'm extremely proud of the work that OUSD has done. I want to thank the staff, Dr. Hansen, teachers, and everybody for their support. Thank you to the thousands and thousands of volunteers in our OUSD schools. It's been a difficult year, and I appreciate everybody's cooperation and collaboration. Getting students back to school safely this year, and implementing a comprehensive health and safety plan was very challenging, but we did it, and we were one of the first schools to open up. I'm so proud of that. I did over 100 site visits and event visits and community-related meetings in the last year, and I've worked with so many wonderful people. I'm also proud of the accomplishments that we have done at OUSD, including opening an IB-approved school. We opened 2 of our schools, El Medina and Canyon. We installed solar panels at many of our schools. We procured a fleet of electric buses. And I believe we have one of the largest fleet in Orange County. We also opened the El Medina pool. We added more counselors, aides, and assistant principals this year. We are addressing the safety plan and starting a committee for safe schools, and I know that's underway right now. And I'm grateful for the many, many partnerships that we had with OUSD, including GRIP, GoCat, Angels Foundation, Freddie Freeman, Orange Youth Center, Fern Scholarship, El Medina Foundation, Canyon Foundation, all the PTAs and PFSOs. So proud to be able to work with so many of these groups, and it's been quite a year, and I want to thank everybody for contributing to these accomplishments. I want to congratulate and welcome Madison to the board. It is my hope that OUSD continues its success next year and that the board can work collaboratively towards putting the students' needs first. I look forward to having a great year next year, and I wish everybody a happy holiday and a wonderful new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yamasaki. And if you want to show your flowers after I spilled all the water, you can show that. I apologize for that, but we really do want to thank you for your service. It's a tough job to sit in that seat, and you've done remarkable for the district. And I know on behalf of the cabinet and myself, we want to thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Okay. On to 6B, Board President's Report. I've just got a few words I'd like to say. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the voters of OUSD for allowing me another 4 years. It's been through a few elections, but they always never cease to amaze me that to be able to see your name and as you know as the winner, and that just I am very blessed by this community to have given me such a tenure on this board. So I look forward to working hard on this board and providing the leadership the best leadership that I can in this next year as the president. I want to take a moment now to speak about one of my colleagues that has left the board, and that is Mrs. Kathy Moffitt. I wasn't able to attend her ceremony yesterday, but I would like to say that she has been a longtime friend and politically a respectful adversary. I have a great respect for Mrs. Moffitt. She has been through some of my biggest life challenges and even some of the biggest life sadnesses that she was able to be there with and say some kind words to me when my mother passed away and when my father passed away. She was the first to greet me here on the board when she found out, and it just so happens that we had meetings when those sad times hit my family. Like I said, she was. I always respected her because I knew her heart was in the right place, and that is the children of this school district, and as mine is. Even though we differed, we knew where our hearts were, and that's what gives me great respect for her. But moving on, I look forward to working with this board and my colleagues, and we are going to move on to item 6C, Board Recognition of Students, Staff, and Community. I'd like to suggest to my colleagues, those board members that just got newly elected, this would be a good time if you want to say a few words after anyone else has spoken about any other students, if that's okay. So first, let's take any board recognition of student, staff, or community. Okay, hearing none. Oh, you have some.
I just wanted to congratulate Chapman Hills for their new STEM center opening that I attended last week. It was a long-time PTSA partnership with OUSD, and there was just a ton of effort and time that was put into raising funds to open this center, and they really did a phenomenal job partnering with the PTSA, with Chapman University, who donated 5 3D printers, and the Child Creativity Lab. So I just want to congratulate those parents in PTSA who really worked hard to get that open. I was able to attend Cambridge's TK through 3 Christmas performance today, and if that doesn't make you happy, I don't know what does, because they are just the cutest things you've ever seen. And I was also able to do the distribution of gifts for a program called Warm Hands, Warm Hearts. And each year, our staff participates in this program, and it provides some of our most vulnerable students, our homeless and foster youth, with a gift of a warm jacket, socks, and shoes. I worked with the counselor today and the principal, and we passed those out to these kids that came into the office, and just to see the joy and excitement on their faces to have these presents, knowing that, you know, maybe one of the only presents or the only present that they get for the whole holiday season. It warms your heart. And the most touching moment came, now I'm gonna cry, which is really weird, sorry. The most touching moment came when one of the little students, he was a 2nd grader, a little boy, he leans over and he whispers at me, he got a backpack with his shoes and everything in it, and he said, "I'm gonna give this to my brother because his backpack is broken." And it just hit me because, you know, here's a child who really has nothing, and yet somebody who has so little is willing to give so much, and it was just very sweet. So I wish everybody a happy holiday, and I hope that you have this sort of spirit in your heart as you move forward.
Ms. Page?
Thank you. Last week I had the benefit of visiting a couple school sites as well. I went to Chapman Hills the day before the grand opening because I wasn't able to attend, but I walked in when they were having their Big Buddy STEM program, so they had upper graders and lower graders go in and work on different STEM projects, and that's also when the decal company came, so it was neat to see all the new artwork get ready in preparations for the grand opening. So grateful for Chapman University, Child Creativity Lab, and all these partnerships in order to really enhance the programs that we have. After that, I visited Panorama Elementary, and as the principal was walking me through all the various classrooms, they were curious about what the board does because they haven't heard about what a school board is, and so the best way that I was able to describe it was, well, tell me what you want to be when you grow up, and our job is to be able to create programs so that you have the best foundation that you have before you become a grown-up. So it was really neat to have that interaction where they're telling me all their dreams and how we have a CTE pathway for almost everything that they said. And then this morning, I visited Taft and saw their kindergartners do their holiday program. So they sang in like different languages and had like cute little dance moves to go with it. So it was just, you know, like Trustee Erickson said, like that completely warms your heart. Right after that, parents moved over to one of their community rooms to meet with GRIP officers, and they had their parent meeting. So what happens in these parent meetings is they have a topic of conversation, whether they're talking about different issues that are happening in the community and how to address them. So if anything, it's just an awareness campaign to support parents in that community, but also parents are invited to participate in the greeter program. So they wear like the vests and they stand in front of the school, and they're tasked to watch out for our foster youth that are being dropped off to make sure that they're okay. So that way they can let our school staff know in case there's an additional need that needs to be taken care of. which then we transitioned into the Warm Hands, Big Hearts, not a ceremony, but a gathering of our foster youth. And something that stood out to me that Mr. Rivera told me a couple weeks ago was we used to have 100 foster youth in our district, and it has now been like about 400 of our students that are considered at risk. And so I'm grateful for the donors that we were able to have to be able to provide presents for all of our students. And I also heard similar reactions, like their biggest worry was that something that was gifted to them wouldn't be able to fit. As soon as they took out the jackets and the shoes and they started switching them out because their shoes had holes in them, and some came in without wearing a jacket, and it's freezing today, so they were able to want to wear those right away. And then also earlier this month, some of us attended the CSBA conference, and they had topics about finance, and I mainly attended workshops with student engagement and family engagement, but also connected with other trustees in Orange County to be able to talk about similar issues that we're all facing in California. And so transitioning to welcome Trustee Minor, I think that our board has a lot of different perspectives, which could be put to good use. And I think together we can start addressing a lot of the issues that we're all facing in order to create success for our students and our teachers. And we can all really look towards and find solutions for our teacher and substitute shortages, our teacher and student wellness, and literacy supports. I'm sure the issues that we can address are endless, and I'm also looking forward to the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Yamasaki, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Today I also visited Sycamore Elementary School for the same reasons Trustee Erickson and Trustee Page did, participated in the Warm Hands Big Heart program, and it was wonderful to see the gift distribution and for the kids. They just light up. So I want to thank Principal Urquhart and Councilor Macias for letting me participate with them. And thank you to Heriberto Angel and his team for putting all the bags together. It's really appreciated. I also want to thank President Ledesma for saying the kind words for Mrs. Moffitt. We had a really big celebration here yesterday, and hundreds of people showed up. She received commendations from Lou Correa's office. She also received recognition from Dave Min, Don Wagner, Katrina Foley, from Orange City, from Anaheim City, from Villa Park, and forgive me if I forget, and Garden Grove. And we touch all those areas in our district, so it was great to see all the representatives here to acknowledge Kathy's public service. She served on the board for 22 years, and she's been an exemplary board member. She is a community volunteer. She's dedicated her life to education, first as a teacher and now as a board member. She serves selflessly on many local PTA boards. She put in so much time. I mean, when I first met her coming onto the board, one of the things that astounded me was how much dedication and time she put in after all those years. It was like she was a first-year board member. She visits schools, she participates, and she does very thoughtful comments, and she wants to listen and she wants to learn. The positive impact that she's made on our community is immeasurable. And for me, she's a mentor, she's a friend. She's given me unconditional support and a lot of encouragement. She's very caring and loving, and she's kind and respectful, and very tenacious too. And so she will be missed, and I just want to acknowledge her, and she's paved the way for many of us here to be on the board. So thank you.
Ms. Rumsey?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that at the last meeting, there was a public comment made about conscious discipline and the fact that I had presented fake websites to push my agenda. And I wanted to clarify for the public that the conscious discipline website on their resource page does have the links that I was referring to, including the videos. I communicated with Dr. Hansen about it, and she assured me that none of those websites were part of the program at all for the professional development, but that I was not just making up websites to fool the public. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Trustee Moffitt for her many years of service. I only was able to served with her for 2 years. For these last 2 years, I would believe her leadership did help me as a brand new board member. She was president when I first joined, and she was very good about clarifying things for the new board members and bringing things down to a level sometimes for me to understand. So I appreciated that and thank her for her service, and would like to congratulate Trustee Minor and express my desire to work alongside her and the rest of the board to provide and ensure the best education for the children in our district. And I too also would like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas.
And now I too would like a big congratulations to Trustee Minor and would like to hear a few words from her.
I think I'm on. All right. I also wanted to start by thanking Trustee Moffitt, or former Trustee Moffitt, for her service. It's inspirational serving in your community for that much time, and we didn't always see eye to eye on topics, but I'm here because she motivated me to be here. So I'm thankful for her service, and I look forward to helping our kids in this district, everywhere from special needs kids to the more advanced kids in GATE programs in our high schools, elementary schools, middle schools. So I'm happy to be here. I'm so grateful for those of you that have supported me in this campaign trail. It was not easy. Ms. Moffitt was definitely well loved in this community, but I'm very excited for this opportunity, and I thank you for having me.
Ms. Erickson?
Thank you. I too want to thank the Orange Unified community for allowing me the privilege of being able to serve for another 4 years. Serving as a trustee in Orange Unified has been one of the most rewarding and definitely one of the most challenging experiences I've had. When I decided to run for this position, I brought obviously experience as not only an alumni and a wife of an alumni and a parent of 2 alumni, and as an active volunteer throughout the district for the last 20 years. But through my work with CARE and the bond measures, KNS, I learned what a great district this is and how well it runs, but also the challenges that we had. And we did have some challenges. We've seen so many great things happen in the last few years, and I think Trustee Yamasaki really named and hit upon all of them. I mean, one of the biggest accomplishments obviously was finishing phase 1 of Measure S successfully, and now knowing that we have 4 beautiful state-of-the-art STEM centers on our high school campuses, along with a lot of other things, and that just feels so good to see that have come to fruition after all of that hard work. Obviously, COVID brought a lot of challenges, and we have some ground to make up as a district, as a state, and as a nation. When we committed to opening up our campuses safely during the pandemic, our mission was always to ensure students were safe and able to achieve academic success. Prior to COVID, mental health issues for children were drastically on the rise, and COVID did nothing but actually increase that issue and that problem. there was a lot of stress in the community and a lot of division that developed. We must continue on our mission as a board to care for the whole child and to ensure that each and every student gets the support that they need, academic, social, emotional, when they need it. As a board member, I think it's more important than ever that we commit to working as a functional board and a healthy governance team. I think we've all talked about Kathy Moffitt and what a wonderful board member she was and human she was, but she was always dedicated to good governance and functional governance. And when she was president, she had several study sessions on that, trying to move us in that direction. And so, you know, we have so much talent. We're supposed to work as a team, 7 of us and the superintendent. And I think that with all the talent that we have, you know, we need to join together in common cause to push this district forward. We surely do not agree on every issue, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. The important thing is that we communicate with respect and hear each other out and act as the professionals I know we can. I will do my best. So thank you again for all the community support, and I look forward to serving another 4 years.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. Now I'd like to open up to student board reps. Would any of you like to speak?
Real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ortega.
That's all right. I, too, just want to echo my same sentiments. I'm not going to prolong it to our former trustee, Kathy Moffitt. We had started about the same time. And as well known, we didn't agree on things, but we could still move forward and be able to respect each other as individuals. And so we're now moving forward, as been mentioned, and I've always stated that, you know, our job and objective is for the students, for the parents and the staff. And I say collective staff, all our staff, because of the hard work that they do every single day. And as we mentioned as well, you know, giving respect to our students, our parents, and our staff with their rights, as we say, almost like a Bill of Rights, if you will. But, you know, we've gone through some challenges, and I hope that we progress forward out of some of these challenges. I congratulate them for running their campaigns and being successful, each one of them. And welcome, as they say, as Mr. Ledesma stated earlier, the new kid on the block. A lot of things to learn, things like that. But I just want to say that I look forward to the anticipated year. A lot of good positive outcomes. There's a lot of things on the horizon. And so I just want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. I would now like to open it up for any of the student board reps to speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madison Saloom. I'm from Canyon High School. I first off want to give appreciation to the teachers because I know this week is really stressful because it's finals week and the last week of the semester. So thank you, teachers, for working really hard like this semester. And I know it's hard right now, so we appreciate you. I wanted to give a little spotlight on my school. So right now we have our first home basketball game, which I personally love basketball season the best, so I'm really excited for that. And I also want to give recognition to the student sections of each of the schools in OUSD. 3 out of the 4 of our schools with football teams got recognized as the top 10 student section in Orange County. So Villa Park got first place, which is a big deal. I know El Medina got 6th, and then Canyon got 10th. So I just wanted to say congratulations, and it's really good to see everyone come together after a rough couple years where we couldn't all be together. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Ruby Hewitt. I'm the El Medina Student Board Rep. I'm also getting over a cold, so excuse my voice, but I just wanted to recap kind of some of the events that have been going on campus since the last meeting. First, we had our first ever annual flea market in the beginning of December. And it was a great way to outreach to our community and to support our sports clubs and other programs. And, oh my gosh, sorry. And fundraising. I was with the Ecological Research Club the entire time, selling pet rocks, which was really great. Yeah, and just like spreading our message of sustainability and all of that good stuff. Speaking of eco-research, our club also went on a field trip last Friday to the El Medina Open Space to set up our research projects, which is a part of naturalist certification by the end of the year. And it's a great way to utilize the space that we have as a district and learn about our local ecosystem so that we can have a greater impact on our campus as well as we incorporate a lot of the things that we learned about the local ecology and apply it to some of the agriculture on our campus. I'm also on the dance company, so I just want to mention that we got our new dance teacher after 2 months of not having a teacher. And we are so excited. After meeting her, we were all really relieved. And we're excited for what's coming next for the dance company and the growth of the program as a whole. Our varsity cheer also won their first overall recent competition, and they're still going super strong for their competition season, so I just wanted to give them a little shout out. And then finally, to kick off our finals week, we had our Wish Fairy Assembly with performances from cheer, Vanguard Dance Company, all of our winter sports, and the very talented AS Boys. And the Wish Fairies gave out gifts to students and staff to just kind of give them a little bit of spirit this holiday season. So yeah.
I'll go next. Here, give me a second. Notes again. Okay, so hello, I'm Diego Paz from Orange High School, as you might know. But I wanted to take the time to thank our people at the Adult Transition Program and our Panther Buddies for these wonderful gifts. You know, it's always good to have a little extra holiday cheer, and I know they probably worked really hard on these, so it's always nice to have something a little extra. So thank you. And then I wanted to give another general update about Orange High, as you might know. So the first thing I wanted to mention is our ASB runs a similar program to that of the Warm Hands, Warm Hearts initiative, where we have this program called Panther Wishes, in that we reach out to the community and the students of our school to see who is in need for the holidays, which is often a stressful time for finances and that kind of stuff. So for the students, the students that aren't necessarily fortunate to have warm blankets and toys, gift cards for groceries, that kind of stuff, we raised a total of over $3,500 worth of those items to donate to over 22 of our students. We just went knee deep into distributing today, and I think we're going to finish that up tomorrow. Like Trustee Erickson said, it's always nice. ASB was in charge of distributing the presents, and it was always nice to see the look on the students' face glow up as they open up their new jacket or blanket, and it's always nice. I know when I went to my own room to deliver something, the girl that received my present was very overjoyed, so that was always a nice sight to see. And then something I wanted to also mention is finals. Of course, it's a really stressful time. I tried to be here yesterday for Mafi's ceremony, but I was freaking out over a bunch of my finals, as you might know. But yeah, I'm still happy to make the time to be here today. And then naturally, us Orange High Panthers are going to push through. So it'll be a rough one, but we're going to make it through. And then also on behalf of construction starting, I know it's going to start sometime over winter break, so we'll have to get into transitioning in January pretty soon. It's going to be a very unique change, especially for some of our newer Panthers, but I know for sure that we're going to make it through, since most of us are very excited to see what the new centers have to offer. And then something that isn't quite as, I don't know what the word for it was, but it's something really easy to gloss over, but I feel like as a Panther, it is my responsibility to address something that happened last week. On Thursday, there was an unfortunate incident at our high school where 2 students engaged in an exchange where one of them was mutilated in the arm with a knife. And of course, we had to go into a soft lockdown for a few hours while police swept the campus and made sure everything was safe. And so I know it sounds like a horrible event, and it definitely was, and I'm still trying to process everything that happened on that day, but I think something that we can learn from the situation is that it remains clear that our safety is our #1 responsibility. And I think we've gotten rather comfortable in recent memory as to some of these events that can and sometimes do happen, as we've seen last week. It's just a wake-up call that these are real things, and as much as we don't think that they're common, they still happen, and we need to be prepared at all times. And I want to say that even though it was such a sudden, drastic event, our school handled it very well. Everyone was confused, naturally. A lot of rumors were spreading around, but once we got to work, we all went inside. We made sure to follow directions. Our staff was very purposeful in leading the students. We were getting escorts to the restrooms to make sure we were safe. And yeah, it was kind of a big experience, but there was also a lot of discussion about the very next day because we were having a winter assembly the very next day where everyone's congregated in one place, and it's kind of a weird thing to have after such an event. But naturally we decided, and our admin decided, that the show must go on. And it's one of those things where it's like, I know a board member prior to me had a very high emphasis on our identity and making sure none of these events define us. And I think that we had a very successful assembly the next day. A lot of people and students and teachers really enjoyed it. They were out there having fun, playing the games, I'd say even more than usual. And it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, we're not gonna let this awful thing define who we are. We're gonna move on as a community, and we were able to make the day as great as it could be, despite what happened the day prior. And so it's just, I don't know, it's something to think about, but it's also kind of something to be proud of. Of course, not of the event of itself, but how we can move on and learn from it. And I think that it's just a reminder to how strong our community is, but also, then again, we need to prioritize safety at all times. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. And then, I think that's pretty much it for me now. Yeah.
Thank you.
I am Hope Camara from Villa Park High School. As she said earlier, we did get #1 in the student section, which is honestly, we're so happy to achieve this. Going into this year, there was a lot of questions about us and our ASB because our last director did move schools, so we were kind of left in the dark, and we didn't hire anyone for 4 months into the school year. We were basically student run, but we were still pretty determined, and we worked really hard, and we're really glad to have accomplished that. Also, basketball season has started. The other day, we did get our first win against Compton, which is really good for our team. We're now 7-4. We're also going to have our first winter formal in January. Our first winter formal since 2019. Because of the pandemic, it's been 4 years, or about 4 years, and we're really happy about that, actually. A lot of the students are getting really excited. We're putting a big budget into it. It's going to be at AV Irvine. It's going to be a huge thing, and we're really excited for that. And lastly, we do have an esports team, and it's been widely recognized by the district, actually. We did get sponsored. We got about $60,000 worth of computers into our school, and to support our esports team, and also for computer science students, and just in the computer lab as well. It's a big thing. A lot of money was put into it. I was surprised by myself about it, but yeah, that's another highlight for our school.
Thank you. Okay. Now I'd like to go on to item 6D, State of the School Report. Jada, how do you pronounce the last name? Duvia? Jada Duvia from Richland High School will present.
Good evening, President Mr. Ledesma, Superintendent Dr. Hansen, members of the Executive Board, and OUSD families. My name is Jada Dubia, and I am pleased to present to you tonight's School Spotlight on behalf of Richland High School. Here at Richland High School, we strive to create a welcoming environment for students to have the best chance at success. A majority of our students come from less than optimal circumstances and are in need of credits and support. Given the chance to make up for lost credits in such a short amount of time, many students are able to graduate early or even return back to their home schools. Our fast and efficient credit recovery program gives students an opportunity to redeem themselves and a second chance at success. Our RHS teachers and staff are both committed and dedicated to making sure students are prepared and well supported in accomplishing their goals. Back when I first arrived at Richland as a junior, I came in with only 60 credits. With hard work and determination, alongside support from teachers and staff, I was able to overcome the aftermath of COVID and am able to graduate early. In fact, I'll be graduating this Friday, December 16th. I look forward to attending formal graduation in June at Fred Kelly Stadium with the rest of the class. A special thank you to Mr. Rivera, Communication Services, and the district in providing a new Richland backdrop used during Richland's 4 graduations, one in each quarter. RHS has provided me with ample opportunities that have contributed to my success. I have been a part of the leadership class. I've been the recipient of many school awards for Student of the Month and Condor of Character. I've had the positive experience of attending the Rotary-sponsored RILA conference. I was also nominated for the AXA Every Student Succeeding Award. Thank you so much for your time and support. And without further ado, I'd like to share with you all this amazing video made by none other than Richland leadership students, followed by a short presentation, PowerPoint presentation highlighting various activities and events at Richland.
Hi, my name is John, and I'm going to show you what Richland's all about. Hi, I'm with
Robbie.
How did you feel about Richland before you got here, and how do you feel about it now?
Well, before I got here, I expected just to not enjoy it at all. I really didn't want to come, but when you finally get here, you realize that everybody's kind of cool. It's a nice environment. All the teachers, they're there for you whenever you need them. It's a nice environment.
Before I came to Richland, I was really scared, but now that I'm here, it's actually pretty cool. It's like a little community. Everyone knows each other, everyone's friendly, and the teachers are really welcoming. And so are the security guards.
Oh, thank you.
Before I came here, I felt pretty bad about it because everybody made it seem like it was not a good place to be at, all of that. But once I came here, it was pretty nice. I met a lot of good people and good friends. It helped me get all my credits up so I could go back to my
Now that I'm here, very small school, people, everyone here knows each other. The teachers are very nice.
My favorite thing about working here is definitely with the students. It's always been about students. One thing, this is my 13th year teaching here, so I've seen many students come and go, and one of the things that really warms my heart is when I see students rising up above their circumstances and achieving greatness. Start believing in themselves, succeeding, graduating, or returning back to their home schools and succeeding there. That always brings me joy. And it's always humbling that I'm one of the teachers that they remember.
I absolutely love teaching at Richland because we have small class sizes and just get to form like really positive, encouraging relationships with our kids. That is why I'm a teacher. I want to really make a difference, and I feel like Richland gives you that opportunity. The kids are my heart, and they're just amazing young people, and it's so awesome to see them grow. It's exciting to see what they're going to do in the future with what they've accomplished here at Richland.
My favorite part is students of Richland because of small class sizes and kind of like connection, relation, and I love it. I love it teaching, and I'm here for years.
Yes, and we love you, Mr. Timothy.
Here's our PowerPoint presentation highlighting events and activities at Richland. Skilled, organized, accountable, and respectful are the values we hold dear for our school motto. I am proud to be the student board representative for Richland High School this year. Everyone was involved in support of Red Ribbon Week. Some examples of school spirit are Twin Day, Wacky Hair Day, Formal Day, Neon Day, National Peace Day, Halloween Fun. These are pictures from last year's prom. We are looking forward to prom this year on Friday, May 12th at the venue The Villa in Orange. We appreciate our community support. At the beginning of the school year, Orange North Rotary provides students and staff with a barbecue. Also pictured is our fun time joining the City of Orange May Day Parade. Here are the 2 leadership students recognized at the Masonic Awards dinner. We are so excited for graduation at Richland. Shown are pictures of graduation from June last year. Also mentioned is a picture of our first quarter graduation with our new Richland backdrop. Thank you.
If I may, I'd like to, again, say appreciation for Jada, but I'd also like to recognize some students and staff that are here tonight. So if I may, over here is our staff member, Mrs. Garcia, and in the office, along with our ASB director and teacher of English, Violet Germanaro. And we also have students in leadership and also students from Richland. If you could all please stand. And a special shout out to Amy, if you could stand up, because she is the one that directed and choreographed the whole video. If I may, before I'll turn it over for you for any questions, if I may also introduce, as mentioned, Jada is going to be graduating on Friday. We're so proud and excited for her. And also taking her place, believe it or not, is another Jada Lopez. If I could have her come on up so you could see our new representative for the rest of the school year. Jada Lopez. So Jada and Jada. All right, thank you.
Twin.
All right, and I'll turn it over for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Jada?
It's not a question. I just wanted to say thank you for a great presentation. It's very inspiring, and thank you to the teachers. Definitely see your heart and soul and passion for these kids, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much.
Jada, I want to wish you a lot of luck in your future endeavors, and congratulations on this accomplishment, graduating pretty much a semester early, maybe, huh?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'd like to move on to...
Mr. Ledesma,
Oh, I'm sorry.
can I just
please.
make one little comment too? I want to acknowledge Richland and all the work that you've done. And I don't think it was mentioned that they were the Richland Model Continuing Education Award School. So
I think
that was
it's
a big
been like
achievement.
2 or 3 years in a row now.
Yeah.
it's several times they've been recognized as a model continuation high school for California.
Yes, and I apologize, I didn't introduce myself. I'm the proud principal at Richland, Lisa Ogan.
We all know who you are.
I would like to also invite you. Our graduation ceremony is this Friday. If you would like to come and visit, it's from 10:57 to 11:44 on Friday. And I know, specific, but we do have a specific time for that graduation. And we are having 27 graduates, so we're very proud of that. And we look forward to even more graduates. In fact, some of the members here tonight are also graduating this Friday, so very proud of them. Thank you.
Okay, ready? All right, I'd like to move on to approval of the minutes, number 7, item 7. But before I do that, folks in the audience, you're more than welcome to stay. We're going to get into the main body of the agenda for this board. You're more than welcome to stay, but at this time, this would be a good time for any kind of family and friends that would like to exit. We're gonna get into the business of the board now. Okay. Item 7, approval of the minutes. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the minutes as presented and reviewed. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Ortega. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rumsey. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 8, public comment. Ms. Rumsey, please.
There are 2 public comments. They are both for the oath of office, so I'm not sure how that works in terms of agenda items.
Can you read the that little guideline, that little paragraph there first?
Members of the audience may address the Board of Education on agenda items during consideration of that item and non-agenda items that are within the board's subject matter and jurisdiction. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes per topic. Persons wishing to speak should submit a blue card prior to the meeting. Non-agenda items may neither be acted upon nor discussed by the board, but will be responded to either by telephone, mail, or a subsequent meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Rumsey. You want to give us the first card?
Pam Battaglia.
Okay, congratulations, Madison Klofstad Minor. We are thrilled that you have been elected to the OUSB and that you will now be able to help guide the children of Orange and surrounding areas in the district and their parents toward a righteous education. And congratulations to the board. You are fortunate to have her on board.
Pat Dietrich.
I am a former teacher of Anaheim City, retired 2008, and I taught 6th grade and then I taught 1st grade. And when I found out that we were going to be trying to elect Madison to this new position, I thought, okay, I have some time. And it was actually quite a journey because we went to all of the different schools in the area and handed the cards out saying this is what we would like to have done, you know, parents' rights for their children in the schools. And so it was quite a journey doing that. And also, I did walk neighborhoods, and that was fun because it was also very interesting to talk to people if they would come to the door. So I would just like to say I did this because I felt very strongly about what Madison wants to do on the board. And so that's why I did this for her. And I have absolutely no regrets. I think that the board is fortunate to have her, and I know she's new and has a lot to learn. And I know Kathy Moffett was a wonderful board member for many years. But I do think it's kind of a good idea to have someone new, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? Anyway, so congratulations, Madison. Okay, and thank you.
Ms. Rumsey, any more cards? Okay. We'll move on to item 9, action item. Resolution number 151223, findings pertaining to developer fees and approval of the combined annual and 5-year developer fee report.
Mr. Harvey, please approach the podium.
Well, good evening, Board President Ledesma. Congratulations. Board members, Superintendent Hansen, cabinet members, staff, and community. Tonight we'll be presenting to you, as required by statute, the annual and 5-year report on the district's collection of developer fees. And basically all new residential, commercial, and industrial construction and or addition of covered or enclosed space are subject to the collection of developer fees. According to this law, the fee is determined by square footage of the accessible space. Level 1 fees, which are collected, are statutory school fees assessed to the residential additions of over 500 square feet and all commercial developments. Accessible space is all square footage within the perimeter of a structure. So just some definitions there. Examples of exclusions from this accessible space include parking structures, carports, walkways, garages, overhangs, or patios. Accessible space is determined by the city or county issuing the building permit. So the applicant will go to the city first, get their permit, and they have to come back to us to get those fees paid, and that's part of the process. So the requirements of the annual developer fee report that I'll be giving tonight are per Government Code Section 66006, Section B. As shown on the slide, are to indicate what fees are collected within the fiscal year and what, if any, expenditures were made with developer fees. The district is also required to give the beginning and end balances of the account and indicate the amount of interest earned, details on interfund transfers, and any refunds that were received. In terms of refunds, a refund, for definition's sake, of the entire amount paid, excluding a $50 refund processing fee, is issued if a construction project does not begin within the fiscal year or the project is suspended or abandoned or canceled. As a part of the ongoing annual report, Orange Unified has chosen to pair the 5-year report with our annual report for the last several years. This format maintains we meet the short and long-term reporting requirements per the code. Part of the 5-year annual reporting requirements per the government code are to identify long-term projects that will be utilizing developer fee proceeds, demonstrate that the fees expended and the purpose for the expenditures are properly aligned, and lastly, to clearly identify any sources of funding for long-term capital outlay projects. So to get to that report, the level 1 developer fees rates shown on this slide are in the amounts of $3.79 per square foot for residential projects and 61 cents per square foot for commercial projects. This has not increased since the previous adjustment in the 2017-18 year. And just to say, why that was the case, that's the year that we began to work on Fred Kelly Stadium. So it was really important that we get aligned, and before that time, we had not changed the fees for 4 or 5 years prior to that. So it was important for us to fund this project and to increase our fees to allow for this to happen. So we're completing a new fee study as we speak, and we'll be presenting this in a public hearing at the January meeting. Our beginning balance to begin the 21-22 school year, as you see here, was roughly $3.17 million with an ending balance of $3.93 million in June of 22. The district collected over $970,000 in developer fees and earned a little over $18,000 in interest over the course of the fiscal year. And as discussed, proceeds of the developer fees were used to fund Fred Kelly Stadium over the last few years. And then the last part of that was an equipment purchase of $122,000 this past fiscal year. And then the other project was the Fletcher expansion, and that was a $350 purchase of equipment and to close out that project as well. So both these projects are closed out, are functioning, and running very well. And the 5-year report that we mentioned earlier states that through the 2022 year that the main proceeds of collected developer fees were used to fund those two projects as mentioned, Fred Kelly Stadium and Fletcher Elementary. The justification of this fee use at Fred Kelly Stadium was based on the capacity growth of the stadium and the ability of the modernized facility to meet the needs of all individuals with disabilities. And I'm very happy to say that the federal government came out, that's with the Office of Civil Rights, toured the stadium this past fall. We're very pleased with what they saw. They had no findings. They're very happy that we followed, the guidelines of our agreement with them, and we actually beat the time frame that they had thought we were going to do to complete the stadium. So they flew out from San Francisco, walked the stadium, and had really nice things to say. So we are officially closed out, and we received the letter, I believe, in October, Dave, clearing us of that case. So very happy to say that. The justification for the fee use at Fletcher Elementary, as prepared by our legal counsel, Tal Rossini, is the growth of the Mandarin program at the school and the immediate need for new classrooms to accommodate this surge in enrollment from 2020 to 2022. We're actually going to be proposing one more classroom to be added because of the continuing growth of that program. The 5-year report details that the Fred Kelly Stadium modernization project used approximately $11.7 million in developer fees and $11.9 million from the district's capital outlay reserve fund. So a nice partnership between our own money and that was funded by developer fees. Fletcher used just over $477,000 in developer fees, as well as $280 from the capital reserve funds to fund the project. So that is my report, and I can answer any questions.
Mr. Harvey, I've got a question. Can you give us kind of a short explanation of how, what goes into a study of increasing developer fees, or what goes into the developer fee study? Just kind of a
and Mr. Vera
brief
can help on this one too, but a lot of it is just looking at the developments that are happening within the community, the growth of the community, what the housing prices are. There's many different categories that they go through. Our enrollment, what our demographics are, so we have to give a lot of demographic information. Anything else you'd add, Dave?
Yes, part of the report also includes and the purpose of developer fees is that when developments occur, there's an added burden to the school district to serve students. And with that, there's a cost estimation of what it costs to fund an extra classroom. So the report will actually have details of what those costs would be, and then certification that we would be qualified to collect the funds and to charge the fees. And if the state increases the rates, which they have, would we qualify for that increased amount? Now, what can we use developer fees for? It's the development and expansion of our facilities as a result of construction done within the community. So that direct nexus of those funds is to fund the cost of providing those facilities as a result of the construction.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Ms. Erickson?
Do you have any developments that are identified coming up that we should know about or that we can know about? What are some of them in the community that we can expect to see going forward, if you know?
Yeah, there are a few, but that's the steal of the thunder from the January board presentation. But yeah, we're gonna have the details of what those developments look like. But there are some upcoming developments, And one that really helped fund really the past years of Fred Kelly Stadium was at the Santa Ana Main Place. Around there is considered our territory. So that helped all the houses that went in around there, not houses, but the apartment complexes, helped fund that.
Anyone else? Questions?
That was going to be my question as well, because about Irvine and all that.
Yeah.
So what we can do for the next meeting, where we provide you an update, is provide you that information in the Friday memo, and then also include that in our report.
Mr. Harvey, Mr. Rivera, thank you very much. Now we can move on to item 9B.
I think we need to vote
Oh,
on this.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. Okay. What we need to do is vote to accept the report.
I'll move.
Moved by Ms. Page.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Erickson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes to accept the report. Thank you. 7-0. Now, we go on to item 9B, first interim budget report. Mr. Rivera.
Good evening, President Ledesma, distinguished board members, Dr. Hansen, my colleagues in cabinet, and the Orange community that's here tonight. As required by law, the district is required to provide you an interim report, which is information that is captured through October 31st. And within a 45-day period, we need to present that information to you, and that's called the first interim report. There's another report that we're going to be filing in mid-March. That is information that's going to be captured through January 31st. And again, 45 days after that is the March 15th timeline. That's called the second interim report. So I have Ms. Balsaro who's going to be joining me. Let me review the highlights. The one thing I need to emphasize is that next month we're going to be getting a budget update from the governor. So this information I'm going to share with you tonight, it's precisely accurate as of tonight, and will be precisely changing by next month. So I'm not going to emphasize a lot because we know it's a moving target, and hopefully it's a moving target in a positive direction for our district. So we're going to have some elements of the budget assumption. What didn't we include in the budget? And I'll tell you why. Updates that we're receiving from the state, and then what's our next steps. So one of the first elements that we need to report on, because we're funded on a per student basis, is our enrollment information. And you can see leading into 2021, we were a declining district, losing 600-700 kids per year. And you can see over the last couple years, with the implementation of our track and retain program, those numbers have drastically changed. And in our projections in the out years, we're including a 361 decline of student enrollment based on our demographics report. What we did include and provide for the board is you see the demographer projections. So how do our current projections realize enrollment compared to the projections? Well, over the projections, they were anticipating that we were going to lose close to 1,400 kids over 2 years. We've actually lost 318 kids over 2 years. So we're about 1,000 kids above the projection. As a result of the work that we've been doing, the collaboration with our teachers and our parents to best serve our students. It's okay to applaud. So here's some assumptions that we use in our projections. As part of transparency, we give you the details of what these numbers mean. Unduplicated pupil counts, what does that mean? That is our students of need. And you can see that historically, that number was 46.61%. We went through a process, and I have to compliment our IT staff and Mr. Keeler with this leadership in researching what other districts were doing. What could we do to better identify? And as we identify kids, we identify additional funding. So you can see the number rose from 46.6 to over 59%. Anything above 55%, we now qualify for concentration grant funding, which is significant for our district because that's an additional 65% increase in funding for those students above the 59% threshold. So on the expenditure side, you can see that we've included the agreements with our associations, not only this year and for next year. Budgeted increases in costs for personnel costs for step and column increases, as well as health benefit cost. And at the bottom, you can see that there's a safety plan budget allocation of $1.5 million. Next month, you're going to receive a report. Mrs. Corella and I are going to be co-presenting and sharing with you that plan that we've been working on for several months that addresses the major categories of expenditures that we need to implement to create a safer environment for our students. So we are never standing still. We're always looking at the future as to what may happen and not wait if the state's going to fund it or if we're going to receive a grant. We always need to prepare and plan. That was really the basis of our plan when we re-entered during COVID, is that we had adequate reserves that we could implement actions and not wait for guidance as to, do you have funding for this? We had our reserves, we moved forward, strong-willed with the support of the board. And as we look at the next couple years, we're looking at what is it that we have to do to support our students. So obviously, technology, the replacement of equipment, the equipment that we purchased for our students is now going to be aging out, so we're going to have to replace it and maintain a one-to-one. Cybersecurity is a big issue now for school districts. At the CSBA conference I attended, there was a lot of discussion about what districts are experiencing. I believe Mr. Ortega was there listening to that, the data that was being shared, which was quite daunting. Also, as we look at staffing support, we're struggling with filling positions. And as we fill positions, for example, in the business office, we're seeing a 6 to 9 month lag being able to fill positions. So we're having to figure out how to do this and still maintain the workload. Also, we're seeing that our students have not come back to school at the same ratios they were before the pandemic. We were somewhere around 96% attendance before the pandemic. Now we're in the 93% range. So we're looking to see how we can improve that and address the issues that the state is requiring us to address with chronic absenteeism. So you can see what the projections are showing for the next 2 years, and as well, besides what we've already budgeted, additional funding for facilities to address those things that we need to do at the school site. Now, Mrs. Balsara is going to carry us home.
Good evening, Superintendent and board members, cabinet members, thank you, cabinet and community members and staff. The assumption that Mr. Rivera shared with you, that's already included into multi-year projections that you can see. And for the current year revenue, we have estimated at $437 million, and expenditure is estimated at $395 million, including carryover from previous year. And so the next 2 years projected at $381 million and $379 million respectively, based on the revenue projections, revenue assumptions that we shared earlier. The expenses projection based on the assumptions and operational sustainability plan that was shared just right now. And as you may notice that we started the year with $114 million, but it's expected to end with $155 million. And that is because of the one-time block grant revenues that we have included in revenue only. And the other 2 years that will be ending in $150 million and $139 million respectively. So this is a very famous slide. If you love numbers, then you are going to love this slide. And we have a bunch of numbers for you to entertain. So basically, this slide is really telling you that what's our ending fund balance and what are the components of ending fund balance and how we assign that. So we have a 3% requirement of state contingency reserve that we have to maintain, and also we have to set aside money for inventory, revolving cash. Then there is a restricted program balances and other assignments. And then board may recall that last May 2022, board approved a resolution to commit funds because of the new requirement that state reserve cap. And so we said that and outlined that on the slide. And as you can see that there are commitments that was approved by board as part of the resolution, and that's how our ending fund balance looks like for 3 years. So I guess you may want to know that what's not included in the budget. So there are 3 important revenues that we are anticipating in upcoming months and that we have not included. One of them is the AB 185 grant that was state budget enacted. That was for home to school transportation, and that is additional funding for transportation, but we have not included as part of our plan right now, and we are going to present to board the transportation plan by April 1st, and will provide you update annually. And we are also receiving 2 of the block grant that you may have heard, Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and that's for about $25.83 million. And that's going to be available until 27-28 year. And that is mainly to use to establish learning recovery initiatives. And also for arts, music, and instructional materials block grant, we have not included in the budget for $14.8 million, and that's going to be for another 4 years that we have it. And we have, so we are working with the stakeholders to provide the input to prepare the plan, and we'll be bringing it forward as Mr. Rivera mentioned earlier.
Can I ask a quick question? Is that the Prop 28, or I can't remember if it was Prop 28. Is that the proposition money, or is that something different?
No, it is also AB 182.
Okay.
So it's another.
It's different.
It's different, okay.
So in the past election that we passed,
Right,
those funds are something separate.
okay. And
Those
we don't
funds
know
we're
what
going to
that is
see
yet?
next year.
Okay,
We're not going to see that this year. Let me clarify the home to school transportation. What this grant allows for is to reimburse the district up to 60% in funding for expenses. Right now, we have a $10 million program. We receive a little bit over $2 million in funding. So we have a contribution from our general reserves for the difference, the $8 million. Now that we're going to be funded at 60%, that's what that $3.8 million is to add to our current funding to bring it up to $6 million. And now our contribution is going to go from $8 million down to a little bit over $4 million. So this, and we have to go through a process as required by the grant to meet with stakeholders and to talk about services, but this is really to help reimburse us for costs that we're already incurring. It's not new money to provide new services, it's to reimburse us what we're already doing, and that's part of that calculation.
got it. And is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, is that dispersed over a period of 6 years, or do we get it in the beginning and then?
Both the arts, music, and the learning recovery are given to us now. Okay. And we have 6 years for one grant and 4 years for the other to spend it. And whatever we don't spend this year, you're going to see it in our reserves earmarked. Okay? So, I'll take it. So what is it that we're hearing from the state? We're hearing that there's a $25 billion structural deficit. So why do we have a deficit? Well, really, it's the state revenues that haven't kept up with the projections. One of the areas that it's not keeping up is with capital gains. So if you look at past years, we would have as much as 20% of the state revenues be funded to us from investors capitalizing on on the stock market. Well, right now the stock market is not performing, so those revenues are not being generated. So that's a key component. Also, we're having large businesses leave the state. The fact is that when you look at our top 50% of our income is coming from the top 1% of income earners. So when you have businesses leave, you have investors leave, that is critical to our state revenues because of the percentage that they're currently paying. So the projections leading to next year is that we're going to have COLA somewhere around 9%. That is the largest in over 40 years. So should we be concerned? Is this something like what we saw in the Great Recession? The answer is no. We have a different environment now. During the Great Recession, districts had reserves of 9 to 10%. Our reserves for an average district is almost double than that. So the reserves that districts have put them in a different position. Also, back then, the real estate market was suppressed. Property values were diminishing. That's a much different environment than what we have today that has seen sustained growth in property values. In Orange County, for the last few years, we've been averaging 6.5% growth. In fact, if we were to go back to the year 2000, only 1 year did we have negative growth, and it was like 0.5%. It was a nominal amount. So we're in a very strong position. So we're going to see the governor's proposal January 10th. We're going to be reporting to you, if possible, at the January meeting. I think actually our workshop in the same day of the board meeting. So we'll try to put together a presentation, if not for then, for the first board meeting in February. And we're going to see what the governor's priorities are and where are they going to commit funds to. Is there any new grant funding? Anything that we see that can benefit us? You know, there's discussion about additional funding for cybersecurity. So we'll see what that materializes and how that comprehends with our budget and things that we're already planning for. But what we do expect is that the numbers are going to change, right? That's what's happened in past years. So the state is going through its budget process, going through its hearing process, and by June 15th, I believe, the state is responsible for signing a budget. The May revise happens in mid-May, and that's going to be the most recent budget projection since January. And then that's what we're going to formulate to use in our budget that we adopt in the 2 board meetings in May and in June. So what are we doing in anticipation of that? Our budget stabilization plan is the tool that we use of forecasting our revenues, seeing how we can improve on our projections, improve in bringing additional revenue to districts. The key resource here is our track and retain program that has assisted us with increasing or minimizing the decline of enrollment. How we can look at maximizing our restricted dollars to help us with our operation, what additional operational efficiencies that we can do. So all those things that you see listed on the edge under 4.0, those are the things that we keep focusing on and enhancing and working with the business team to do that. We'll be presenting to you the second interim report at the March meeting. And I'll be happy to answer, Ms. Balsaro and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Question? Any questions?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mr.
in
Ortega.
reference, so you mentioned about the school safety? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say? Oh. Oh, you don't have to bring it up. I'm just gonna. So is this based on that task force that was created? Or is this something that, because I know we talked about a lot of stuff and I've wanted to provide a lot of input as well. You know, for example, the single entry, that's one big thing.
Oh, the meeting that we're having next month to talk about our plan?
Correct. On the school safety plan, you're budgeting $1.5 million projected.
Correct.
For whatever those needs are. Obviously, I don't know what they are.
Correct.
Is that, well, I guess we can talk offline as to is that going to provide for some training as well? Because I know staff, a few staff members have reached out and it was mentioned to them before the start of school that providing active shooter training to them.
Yes.
And that has yet
It includes that. It
to be
hasn't happened yet.
completed. So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure a lot of this type of training is going to be included in this plan.
So literally, we have a moving target.
Okay.
So we have $1.5 million planned. And then we've also set aside some other contingencies. So in case it's not captured, we can cover it under our projections of adding additional funds.
Okay.
But it does include training, it includes security, surveillance cameras, it includes a single point of entry. All sites have been assessed for that. There's a multitude of things, but we can always add in more.
Okay, because I'm going to be able to, I really want to drill down on that one. So
Certainly.
that's just my wheelhouse. The other thing is that, as you mentioned, you and I sat in this and our eyes, were probably bug-eyed during the cybersecurity presentation. And again, it's more of a question, but without an answer, is that if it's possible to provide to the board, if because of the circumstances surrounding cybersecurity in a closed session, if Tam would be able to give us an overview based on the things you and I saw at the conference, and what are some of those
the
things
checklist
that would
Yes.
be, so that all of us collectively can know what is it we're doing and how are we doing. I don't want to say outwardly, anything, but if, we can arrange something like that, I think that would be very useful in that manner to see, because those districts who presented, and obviously one of them was LA Unified. And so there was a lot of takeaways from that.
There's a lot of work and there's a lot of eye-opening situations as a result of these discussions, things that we're learning. I was thankful to be there to learn from them.
Right.
And then some things we've already addressed and some things we still need to address. So
Yeah.
certainly we can provide you a confidential update.
Yeah. Again, nothing open for obvious reasons. Okay. Yeah. And then obviously, it's a moving target, as you mentioned, and then we're looking, the state is projecting a $25 billion deficit. And then you're explaining it, trying to compute that with a 9% COLA. But yet you're having a deficit, and now there's talks of other companies moving out of California and actually more residents leaving California. So
Correct. The last few years has shown 6-digit increases in the number of students leaving the state. And since we're funded on a per-student basis, that's critical to us. So yes, there's some mixed messages. But what was interesting, in all the meetings that I went to, there isn't any plans or thoughts or even discussions about budget cuts. That the reserves and the budgets right now are adequate for the short term to get us through. And that the LAO is projecting that there's going to be a correction to this market within a couple of years. So it's really to ride out that correction. But we'll see.
But you still have to prepare. You don't want to.
We plan for the worst.
Exactly. So
That's why CBOs have gray hair.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else? Questions, comments?
So we'd just like to leave you with some Christmas cheer. And also, we've been shorthanded in our department. We really have been taxing our managers to get these reports done. We're still one manager down now. Ms. Balsara has some of her staff that she likes to thank.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and there is a lot of things going on with this report as well on back end, and all of the staff are working really diligently to put together this report. But I especially want to thank Portia Gonzalez, who is a budget control supervisor, and also Brenda Saavedra, who is a financial analyst. They helped me really good to put together this report in front of you, and also with the presentation. So, and also I can't thank enough my budget team who helped through the entire process of interim projections and everything. meeting. So I really appreciate their willingness to help and step up to the plate. So thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera.
If there's no other questions, Merry Christmas and enjoy the holidays, and see you next year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to read the recommendation for this item. Recommendation, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve a positive certification of the first interim financial report for 2022-23, indicating that Orange Unified School District will be able to meet its financial obligations for the remainder of the 2023 fiscal year and the following 2 fiscal years, and accept the 2023 budget updates of changes as presented by staff. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Ortega, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Erickson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. On to item C, memorandum between Orange Unified School District and Orange Unified Education Association, and recommendation for district leadership employees. Dr. Hanson.
Yeah, Mr. President President Ledesma, I'd like to have Mr. Gonzalez introduce this item.
Thank you, Dr. Hanson. Pinch hitting tonight for our agency negotiator, Mr. John Radjic, who had a family issue to attend to tonight, is Mr. Tony DeMarco from AALRR to present on this item for us tonight. Thank you, Tony.
Good evening, trustees and administration. So for your consideration tonight is the MOU regarding health benefit premium increases. It's recommended for approval. This has been approved by the County Office of Education through the AB 1200 process. This MOU is between the district and its Teachers Association and covers the 2023 premium increases on a one-time basis as an incentive for the district's health benefit committee to identify lower cost plans. The cost of the MOU is covered by one-time funds and has been determined by the county to be a prudent expenditure of your money. So with that, the staff recommends approval of the MOU.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, I will read the recommendation. It is recommended that the Board of Education take action to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between the Orange Unified School District and the Orange Unified Education Association, and to approve equivalent terms for district leadership employees. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by
Me.
Ms. Erickson and seconded
Second.
by Mrs. Minor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We will move on to item 10, information discussion items, annual audit report for fiscal year 21-22. Madam President.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President Ledesma.
Dr.
We got to
Hanson.
get used to all
Dr.
these new
Hanson,
rules.
I know.
So the annual audit report will be presented by one of our consultants. So Mr. Rivera will introduce her as she approaches the podium.
Yes, Mrs. Berry is here to provide an update to the board. By law, we're required to have our funds audited annually. That has been done. So I'm not going to steal Mrs. Berry's report. It's a short presentation, and she'll guide you through our audit report and how the district did in its transparency of reporting its accounts.
Thank you and good evening. So you just heard a little bit about the future coming up with the first interim budgets, and now we're going back into the past a bit to talk about 21-22, which is the audit year that is being presented. I am a partner with Nigro & Nigro, who is the current company that is performing your audit, and we do this in a few different stages. We look at not only your financial numbers, but also a variety of state and federal compliance areas, and then we also look at internal controls, making sure you have the proper checks and balances when it comes to how funds are being received, how funds are being spent, that type of thing. We actually start off at the school sites where we're looking at attendance taking procedures and making sure that those are being done properly. As was shared before, a lot of the funding is directed by your average daily attendance, so we want to make sure that there are proper controls and compliance over that area. We also look at ASB funds at the individual school sites and how they're handling cash, how they're conducting their fundraisers, making sure that there is proper accounting at each of the sites' ASBs. We then move to the district office where we look initially in the spring more at controls and compliance. When we're there in the spring, your books are not closed yet, so we're not auditing final numbers, but we're checking for, as I mentioned before, checks and balances. Are there proper approvals when money is being spent? When money is coming in, is it being deposited timely? Is there a good segregation of duties between different people who are involved in different areas of the financial process? We also look at quite a bit of state and federal compliance. So this can be anything from having to take certain things to board and making sure those are taken to board timely to what funds can be spent for certain programs. Quite a bit involved in state and federal compliance. We look at that both in the spring and when we return in the fall. When we return in the fall, your books are closed for the year, so we can actually start auditing financial numbers. We're looking at all of your numbers that are presented here in this audit report. We're tying them out to supporting documentation. We're making sure what is presented here is presented fairly. So when you look at our audit report, actually the first thing, once you get past table of contents, is our opinion letter, which states that we do believe that the numbers being presented here are presented fairly. You have what's known as a clean or an unmodified opinion to start off, so that's what you're going for. Congratulations. That is our opening letter, and then we get into what's known as management's discussion and analysis. For board members wanting really an overview of the financial picture, I tend to point them to this section. It's the first roughly 10 pages or so of information. At the beginning of an audit report, it's summarized tables and it gives current year and prior year. So it's good to kind of give you a picture and highlight some trends, what's going up, what's going down. So good, again, if you want kind of a quick recap of how the district is looking in this audit report, I generally direct people to that section. Then we get into the full financial statements. That takes up the next section where all the numbers are laid out. And then the bulk of the audit report is notes. These are all required disclosures going into a great deal of detail on each of the numbers that are provided. The bulk of the notes deal with pensions and your OPEB, your post-employment benefits. There's a lot of required disclosures for those, so most of the notes and most of the tables in the back relate to this. You get past the notes, you get into more things on pension, more things on OPEB, and then a few state compliance issues. It'll note your average daily attendance, instructional minutes offered, spending for different federal programs, a few other schedules in the back there. We get to a few more opinion letters in the back. So the first one was your overall opinion on the financial status, but then there's an opinion on compliance and controls, one on state compliance, one on federal compliance. So they're your ending letters. And then we round out with any findings or notes in the very, very back of the audit report. There are actually two findings this year. Neither one has any financial implications to the district. They're both just compliance related. And again, they're ones that are not financially impacted. So nobody ever wants findings in an audit report, but if you're going to get them, at least they don't have a dollar amount associated with them. So again, brief recap on what we do and what's in the audit report, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have or go into any detail in any areas.
Any questions, comment? Yes, Ms. Page.
So I'm not a fiscal person by any means, and so when I was reading the audit report, it was definitely enlightening to see. Like, it was very understandable. It broke it down into various sections that we were able to relate based on previous board presentations by Mr. Rivera. So thank you so much for the organization and the report.
Of course.
I've got a question. You may or may not know the answers to this, but how were our ASB accounts? I know that's sometimes we run into findings there. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, so we do look at ASBs. As I mentioned before, it's kind of one of the first things that we look at as we're going through the audit. Overall, very clean. It's very, very rare to find perfect ASBs because you've got a lot of parents involved, you've got students involved, you've got a lot of non-financial people, so there's always kind of a learning curve, and it's something that we definitely emphasize training every year. Your district actually consults with us to provide training on typically an annual basis. I've come out and presented some of those. So overall, if it's not in the audit report, that's a good sign. If we're getting more severe issues, then they pop up as letters or findings in the audit report. So overall, I would say they are looking clean. ASBs, again, always an area where there's a lot of turnover in ASBs as well, so you have a lot of new students coming in, new advisors, so definitely an area to continually keep an eye on, but nothing that warranted concern enough, obviously, to land in the audit report.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Mr. Ledesma, I'd just like to express my appreciation to Mrs. Berry in leading our audit. Her firm is excellent to work with, very responsive. If we have questions, which is our common practice, that we can pick up the phone and call them and get direction, so that way we're on the same page. We don't have to wait until the audit process, so I appreciate the collaboration and the work and the excellent product that you produce.
And I'd also just like to commend the business office for all their great work. I think we're on a streak here. Are we on the 14th year of no audit findings? 14 or 15. Just so our new board member, Ms. Miner, knows that this is a great area of strength in our district. Our business office has done excellent record keeping, and it's a lot of work this time of year in the late fall, closing out the books. And so I just want to commend Mr. Rivera and his team for all the great work, and thank our audit firm for confirming that we're doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to move on to consent items. Let me just read this item here. Consent items are acted upon one motion. However, any such item can be considered separately at a board member's request and will be acted upon following approval of the consent items. Would anybody like to pull a consent item? Okay.
I would.
Okay. Ms. Miner, which one would you like to pull?
Consent item N.
N, 11, would that be 11N or 13N, or maybe not?
That's a great question.
It's going to be under, no, it's
15, I think, yeah.
Is it mindsets?
It's
Yeah.
7 mindsets.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
that is,
11, so it's under
15N.
Ed Services, so 15N is in November.
Okay, 15N. Okay. Anyone else like to pull a item?
I wanted to pull for some clarification on letter I, and then also, they're both under 15, and then 15A.
I and A?
A is in Alpha, and then I is in India.
And both 15?
Yeah. Sorry, those are military phonetics. A is in Apple, I is in
Okay,
Indigo.
italics.
good. All right. Anyone else? Okay, can somebody please provide me with a motion?
Aside from those, I'll move it.
Aside from 15N, 15A, and I.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Mr. Ortega, seconded by Ms. Miner. Any discussion?
I'd like to say something. In terms of moving forward, I would ask, this would be my request. This is something that's been happening more frequently where consent items are being pulled the night of the meeting. And what that does from a governance standpoint is it makes it really difficult because you've obviously looked at something that you have a question about. It would be really nice if you could give everybody else a heads up so that we can actually go look at those things to see if we have the same questions or, we can't do any research on the fly because we don't have computers, we don't have anything here. So there's nothing for us to look at other than what's in the report. And so I think from a good governance standpoint, it would be really helpful. And obviously it comes up that sometimes you have a question and it just happens, no problem. But when there's things that are coming up prior to the meeting, it would be my request to have a heads up on it so that I can take a look at it too, because I just feel totally unprepared when it's popped on us like this. So that would be my request.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. I think sometimes it's not necessarily get in depth into the item. Sometimes it's just clarification. That's all I'm going to say. But I think it's a good suggestion, and I think we should all do what we can.
Well, first of all, I don't get the agenda until it's printed on Friday. And then sometimes, then you have to review it either through the weekend or the first of the next week. And then I also believe as well that under law, we can't share with anybody anything. And so we're going to start getting into different areas of, well, you know, I'm going to email the whole board and go, hey, I'm going to pull items A through F and discussions, and here's my questions. That's completely inappropriate. So, I mean, this is the time, this is our board meeting, and it's us to conduct ourselves at the board. And it's individual rights of the board member to ask these questions.
I'm making this request so that I can be prepared and be a better board member, so that I can look and see if I have questions as well. And I'm not suggesting that you would email the entire board. What I'm suggesting is that you might give the superintendent a heads up. And if it's questions that you have ahead of time, and again, I understand you might come up with these questions on the fly at the meeting. But if there's questions that you have, it may be that we all have those questions, and maybe we just haven't seen it. And so I just find it really difficult at the last minute to be looking at something and I don't have any information. So, like I said, I think that that's sort of a better way of doing business, so that we can all be prepared. And again, if that's what you choose not to do, that's fine, but that is my request. So thank you.
President Ledesma?
Yes.
Ledesma, may I make a statement?
Dr. Hanson.
So if the question is presented to me before the board meeting, and I do get questions from board members ahead of time, and if it's relative to the rest of the board, I usually will send out an email, which is to all of you as information. So I get the question from one board member, and then I provide the answer to all of you. So if I know ahead of time, I can do that. So then that alerts the board. There was a board member question on this particular item, and so if I'm going to respond to that board member, I also share the same information with the whole board. So that's the way that it would be handled without having an issue with the Brown Act. And I'd be happy to do that if I'm given the opportunity to know what your questions are.
I still see that as an issue. But go ahead.
But in our Friday packet, I've seen it where a board member asks a question and the answer is given to all 7 of us. So just for clarification purposes.
But if we have the agenda and we have these consent items and the agenda is given to us on Friday, then we can ask Dr. Hanson a question, but at that point, she doesn't have the opportunity to provide the answer to everybody, right? If we're going to vote, then that coming Thursday.
No, but I could email it out. But oftentimes, like, I know that 7 Mindsets, there was a write-up in Ms. Corella's Friday letter. She provided information. So oftentimes, there's a lead-up time leading up to the items where they're explained, the research the staff has done, the meetings that we've had with school sites to develop the programs. There's a lot of information provided. So if you still have questions after that, when you see the agenda, then on a Monday, a Tuesday before the board meeting, you can call me. And I have oftentimes, if they're last-minute questions, emailed the board the response from staff, if it's from me or if it's from Ed Services or from business. And I'd be happy to do that if we don't have time to get it in the Friday letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what I've learned from CSB too. It's my understanding that some boards actually are asked to submit questions before Tuesday, so then staff has an opportunity to review and to be prepared for answers. And so some of these boards practice that.
And it is part of our policy, our governing policy. I don't know
We
the
have
number, but it's a no surprise policy. That's part of what we agree to as a board, specifically in our governance manual for Orange Unified, that this board at some point agreed upon.
All something to consider.
Well, it is our policy.
All something to consider, and what one person calls a surprise, I call transparency. And sometimes, I know I've talked with other superintendents that have been here at OUSD, and I've said there will be times that I will bring things forward for transparency purposes, although sometimes I discuss it with the superintendent, sometimes I don't get a chance to. So that's why I say it's something to consider. Because we all have different days leading up to the next meeting when we get that agenda on Friday. Okay, so I think we have a motion and a second regarding the consent items, right? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes 7-0. Okay, let's go on to item, John, can we take yours pretty quick? Maybe we take yours first?
Yes.
Item 15A and I.
So this PBS that's being in partnership with Orange County Department of Ed is the teams here, the Lamson and Prospect, and then the booster team. What are the differences between the teams, and what are they going to be teaching to these staff members? And it's professional development focusing on assisting school campuses, developing school-wide behavior expectations. What does that mean? It's pretty broad.
Well, I'll let Mr. Angel come up as well, but as he's coming up, I'll say that positive behavior intervention supports has been a system of creating a positive school climate that's been at all of our school campuses for,
Since my kids.
I think since like, I don't know,
Yeah.
probably like 20 years. It's a well-researched program that many teachers have utilized and principals have used on their school campuses to increase positive behaviors amongst students, to decrease discipline issues. There's a way of tracking discipline infractions. There's a way of monitoring positive behaviors and encouraging relationships amongst teachers and students. And the different phases like Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and looking at a booster training versus a team training just means, you know, where they are in the process, if there's new staff that need to be trained, if the school is school-wide trained or new people need to be brought in. So that's generally what it is. There's different levels of training depending on where the school is at in their implementation phase. So did you want to add?
And how did the schools get trained or get chosen?
We have it district-wide. All schools have had PBIS for many, many years.
I'm looking at these, though.
That they're
Yes, please, yeah.
Good afternoon. Good evening. So the way they were chosen is I've been working directly, my team and I have been working directly with the county. They're actually going to be providing training for our school sites here in the district. So we worked it out where we don't have to send our school sites to the county. They're going to be coming here. We did give them a survey at the beginning of the school year to measure their levels of implementation of PBIS at each school site. Now you will notice, like you asked, there is a tier 1 training. There's also a booster training, and also there's coaching for Tier 1. What that means is, depending on the levels of implementation for the school sites, that is how they were deemed the level. So a Tier 1 is a beginner's training. Of course, we're not able to accommodate all school sites, but the goal is to train all of our schools across our district. So for now, we are starting with 2 school sites, that is Lamson and Prospect. Booster training are for school sites who have some levels of implementation. They're not beginners, but they're also not at the very top. So they're kind of like in the middle. So you will notice we have Orange High, Knoll Canyon, Crescent, Fletcher, and also Villa Park Elementary. And then we also have our coaching Tier 1 training, and that is for Panorama Elementary. And that is a school site who has high levels of implementation for PBIS. Like I mentioned, Mr. Ortega, the goal is to train all schools in PBIS. Some of the schools are at different levels, and some of them will give it a kind of like a refresher PBIS training. But this is something that's part of our collective agreement, but also our collective efforts to bring back some of these best practices to address student discipline. And it's also part of our safety plan as well.
Okay. Thank you.
And our hope is that this begins in January and will end in June for all school sites involved.
I would like to just mention that PBIS was in our school since my kids were in like kindergarten, and I recall them coming home with tickets for positive behavior. So it was an incentive for them to.
So annually, we have to assess where our schools are at because we've had it forever, but it's really because we have new staff, we have changes in school administration, so that requires either a coaching or a booster training, a refresher. So this is all to keep the program, efficient
Alive.
and effective.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that many districts use this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a highly research-based program that's used across the nation.
Yes. And each school site also has put together a PBIS team. The goal is for this team to be part of the training, and they will bring back the training for the rest of the school staff.
The trainer type?
Absolutely, yes. And we have found that, you get more, buy-in from the staff when it's coming from their own colleagues.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then,
Did you want to?
Do we want to vote on that?
Do you want to make a motion there, Mr. Ortega?
oh, sure, I was just going to ask him because
Oh,
I think it's related to you as well, or is it somebody else? Friday Night Live?
No, that's not.
No? Okay, never mind. Sorry.
You want to make a motion on 15A?
Sure.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ortega, second by Ms. Rumsey. Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 15I.
And then whoever oversees this one is just, how was El Medina High School and Panorama again chosen for this partnership between the Orange County Department of Ed and us with Friday Night Live with the Healthcare Agency for Alcohol and Drug Education Prevention. So we have a high school and elementary. What?
I might have to get you the specifics on that, but my understanding is, again, I know Friday Night Live, it's been around for many years. Typically, it's the interest upon the staff that has, you have a teacher who, it's like a club, and it's a teacher who has expressed interest, and it's a free program provided by the county. It's been in high schools for many, many years, and I know El Medina has had it for a long time. And there's a teacher that runs an after-school program with wonderful, they do a lot of videotaping, a lot of really interesting activities.
It's like a connection. It's like a connection club, so that the kids have some place to be after school, and they connect with one another. So an after-school program. It's been at these two schools for years, so it's just been an ongoing thing, and out of the interest that they have at their site.
So it's not, they weren't selected, they selected it.
They're self-selected.
As an extracurricular program for their school site.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was just trying to see the distinct, because obviously one's high school, one's
Yeah, no.
elementary, and we're talking alcohol and drugs, which I understand starts at the very young age, and educating them about it. And obviously, drug issues right now are out of control, so with the fentanyl. Okay.
Okay.
You might want to stay up there. Okay, let's, do you have a motion, Mr. Ortega, on 15I?
I'll move.
Okay, moved by Ms. Rumsey, second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Erickson. Any discussion?
I have a comment to add
Okay.
to this one. When I visited Panorama last week, their principal had really good things about this program, and mainly focusing on the leadership aspect of the students being able to work together.
Okay, thank you. Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Rodriguez, I asked you to stay up because I think 15N, 7 Mindset, I think I see your name there.
Yes, it's attached.
Yes. So, Ms. Minor?
Hello, good
Hi.
evening.
Good evening.
I just had a couple questions about it.
It lists the 20 different professional development models. Do you have a list of what they are? I'm curious.
You know, I don't have that list at all with me, but we can get that from Mrs. Corella because she did that final conversation with them to nail down exactly what those webinars, not webinars, but the development will be centered on. Okay. So is that what would you like that from her?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. And then I was just curious what kind of mindsets will be employed?
So I was trying to jot them down as best as I could. So the 7 that they talk about, they have everything is possible. So it's about dreaming big. Passion first, it's focusing on the strengths of the children. We are connected, so they're embracing everyone. 100% accountable, attitude of gratitude, live to give, and the time is now. So those are their 7. And it's all about a strength-based growth mindset, kind of look at the world, so that they would be focused on a teacher first. We would work with the teachers. We also wanted to really do a push to share with our parents to help add more parenting opportunities, education opportunities for our parents.
And this one is more focused on parents and developing those 7 mindsets in partnership with teachers and parents, and really digging deeply into those 7 that she mentioned about being positive, having a passion for learning, working with parents as partners to provide that professional development in the school, and then having that connection between the teacher and the home. So there'll be a lot of parent involvement in terms of, it's more customized. There's 20 modules that they can choose from, and then they customize it. But we can I think there was some put in the Friday letter, but you wouldn't have probably received that because it was a couple weeks back. So we'll get that for you and ensure that you have that information.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that was my last question. I was just going to ask about the school's job versus the parent involvement. So that answers it about the parent involvement. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Minor, would you like to make a motion, or what would you like to do?
You want to hold until you get the info?
Yeah,
Or somebody want to make a motion?
I would prefer to hold until I get the information about the modules.
Okay.
I'll move it.
Okay. I got a motion. Second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Well, she's requesting to hold it until she receives information.
Right. So we're going to vote on the motion. There's discussion about holding before we vote on this. So that would mean if we were to hold on this, we would wait until the next meeting.
Can I just clarify? It says this agreement is for the period of December 22nd through June 28th. Is there something that's pending that this requires approval now, or is it okay if we wait for a month?
We were hoping to start in January in the new semester, so that was our hope, but the schools were actually getting organized, and they set their dates up. So I don't have Ms. Corella here this evening because she's ill, but I'm sure we could rework the dates if we needed to.
Is that the only thing holding back? I see Mrs. Rodriguez shaking her head that there's a timeline attached to this, but I don't know if she wants to add anything.
They have worked on the calendar, so.
Yeah, we did have a planning meeting set up after this board meeting, in the next few days before the break, so we could get set up for January. Oh, sorry. We had a planning meeting set up after the board meeting so that we could start planning so we can get it launched in January. New year, new things, so that was the plan.
I don't see why you couldn't have your planning meeting anyways. If we're putting this on hold, either way, I would think you're still going to plan it.
Well, if they plan and it doesn't get approved, then.
Nobody says it's not going to get approved. We don't know yet.
Right, we don't know.
But why would you want to start?
Well, then don't start. Whatever you want.
They have a lot of things to do. They don't want to spend time on something that may not pass, so.
Well,
okay, well then don't start.
Yeah, we actually had some meetings already, preliminary planning, met with the principals. this is really a focus on bringing parents and working with them. And the modules, I mean, I feel very confident in this professional development. It's something that came out of the board goals about building trust and relationships with our community again. And that's really what these 7 mindsets are about, are working to build those relationships with our students and our parents. I mean, I would really like for them to continue so they can move forward with the planning. But if it is something that's, that's a deep concern, then, we'll have to just rework the schedule.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I know I've had a little concern about this because we have plenty of discussion and other programs that we're talking about where the school district is getting involved with parents and all under the guise of helping the student. And I just think it might be a little too much government in there oversight when you're starting to raise parents and the kids. So I think it's something I know I'd like to take a step back from and see what are the different mix of programs that we have where we're trying to raise parents.
The parents give input to it. It's not, we're not telling them. They're actually.
Well, I don't know what parents are giving input, and maybe it's not the majority of the parents. Maybe it's just a handful of parents, and there's a lot involved in this. So we have a motion and a second. Part of the discussion is to hold off on this. So.
Well, just for clarity, this motion second is to do what? Approve the item?
Approve the item.
Oh.
If it's not approved,
okay.
Then it's not approved.
I just wanted clarification on the motion second.
Unless somebody wants to amend the motion.
That's
amend the motion is if you want to amend the motion to the extent where to put the item on hold till next meeting.
Well, it sounds
That's
fairly
fine.
obvious that you will decline it if we don't agree to it today, and can it come back on the agenda next month if we don't approve it?
Of course, yeah, we can bring it back.
Isn't there a restriction as to bringing something back to the agenda after it's been declined?
I don't, that's a good question.
It's not going to be declined, it's going to be, postponed or something?
No, we're voting to approve it or not approve it right now.
Yeah, that's the motion.
That's the motion on the floor.
That's why my suggestion.
And so my reasoning is that if we don't approve it, I believe that there is some sort of timeline as to when we can bring it back. You can't just bring it back.
The better option would
after it's
just be
been
to pull
approved.
it off the agenda and, to give me a chance to meet with Ms. Minor and give her all her information and pull it off the agenda completely. So whoever made the motion to withdraw their motion. Unless
I
you're
made
going
the
to approve
motion.
it, which it doesn't sound like you are, so, which is.
This is the ultimate parent involvement. That's what I don't really understand, because this is actually bringing parents into the process, and they actually have a say in what gets taught. But, okay, I seconded it, so it's Ms. Yamasaki's
Ms.
motion.
Yamasaki, it's,
Can you explain to us the extent of how parents are involved or how you get parents involved? How does the overall program look when you network in the parents, the students, the teachers?
Well, this is a program based on research to build connectedness between the school and home. So they have what they have done with research, and they're bringing that to the parents to say these are some practices you can try. Because when we have parents at school, sometimes they come to us saying, "I don't know what to do with my child. We're having these issues." So this is something that will help them build positive, culture at home, because sometimes that's suffering. So that's one of the things. The other thing is that when we do, especially at our Title I schools, they're required to do parent education, getting the parents involved. And so this is a great avenue for those families to meet the requirements of Title I, to actually get that parent education, delivered to the school the school community. So, and then we also have our needs surveys that happen at our Title Is, but also through our LCAP. And every year, parent education is one of those that comes up, that they want more opportunities, more different kinds of content and subjects. So, this is just delivering on all those different facets. So, and we're only going to try it with a few schools, see how it goes. It's not like we're doing complete district-wide, but we just want to start off small and see how it goes.
I'll ask a question. So you're saying that this is a program to help bridge the communication between parents and schools?
It could be communication. It could be just a support to parents that are looking for ways to connect better with their children. And it's also
So it's almost it's almost an intervention type of. I mean, I know
no, we're not taking it as an
strong
intervention. No. It's more of it's education.
Advice?
It could be advice, but I see it more as education. These are some practices you can try at home. We've done it with Disciplina Positiva for years, where we have a speaker come in. There's a 6-week course, and they learn about how to build a positive, loving home. Where some families are struggling.
We have done other programs.
Oh, yeah.
Before.
Yes.
Okay.
And didn't we do school smarts at one point too?
We did the school smarts.
So this is just another one.
It's
that
another
we're
one,
trying.
yes. We've done the Parent Institute. There's one called Pique. That one's also like a 12-week course. A lot of these are done in our Title I sites, but we're trying to get to other schools that are Title I-like, where they have a lot of needs, and we want to offer the support.
Are they, is it a night that the parents come to? Like, how is it implemented?
Well, whenever you offer parent engagement opportunities, you have to tailor it to the school community. So we would be surveying the site to say, what works for you? We would say 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock after school. Do you want it right when you drop off your child?
But they're usually face-to-face. We're not talking about a webinar.
No, this would be face-to-face.
Okay. And is it, how much parent involvement? I know you don't have numbers on your, in your head, but typically, how many parents are we talking about come to these?
Well, when we do our district ones here at the district, we could have 50 to 100 families show up when we do some night events.
District-wide?
Yeah, so in my department, we offer district-wide. We might do a subject on cyberbullying or how to help with homework and those kind of things. And like I mentioned, Disciplina Positiva, which is another one that means positive discipline. And that one, we get a really great turnout. But it's, we have to encourage them and invite them in. We want them to be partners with our schools.
Ms. Minor.
Did you have a list of the schools that are being encouraged to use this? You had mentioned that there are a couple schools that are Title I, but then there's some that are Title I-like.
Yeah, so right now I believe we have Palmyra as one of them. That's one that I supervise, so I know that one. And I'm not sure, because I wasn't in the last meeting, to know where we landed with the other sites. So I don't know if you know, Dr. Hansen.
I believe it was El Medina.
Did they come in? Okay.
What was the program that you used last year?
Oh, Orange High School too.
Orange High?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Do you remember the name of the program that you used last year?
Well, we have
Did you do it last year?
We didn't do this one. This one's new.
This is new.
Yeah,
Right.
but we've done, like I mentioned, Disciplina Positiva. We've also used Orange County Department of Ed. They can come and do modules. So those are the ones we've typically worked with at the district level. Some sites do, bring in different companies to work with their parents as well.
And you say it's a requirement for some Title I schools, for Title I schools?
Title Is, yes. You must have parent engagement. It's a requirement in the receipt of the funds to actually engage in parent activities. And it could be as simple as science night, math nights, but also education. So there's a difference between parent involvement and parent engagement.
But there's many ways to deliver this. Right?
Oh, yes.
I mean,
It's
there's many
tailored.
ways to
It's
meet the
tailored.
requirement.
Yes.
And it's
Okay.
But we
tailored
want to
to the-
tailor it to the community because it needs to be relatable and relevant to them.
Right, right.
So-
But there's probably other programs, such as Mindset, that also would meet those requirements.
Yes, potentially, yes.
Yeah. So my only point in all this is, like I said, I think we need to kind of take a step back at all these programs that we're looking at in terms of parents and get more strategic about the overall approach instead of this program and this contractor and that contractor. I'd like to get something a little more synergistic, and so that's my understanding.
Can you explain what you mean by synergistic?
So it's kind of an overall, it integrates, this program complements this other program, which complements this program, and it's a better strategy.
Do you have a reason to think that staff hasn't done that already?
Just by all the different programs, one's going this way, one's going that direction, and it's just, I don't get a good sense for it.
Well, our staff are educators. They are in the area of education. And so, if they feel that this is important and that they're bringing it up to us for approval, I trust that this is something that they need.
Thank you, Mr. Yamasaki. I think we all appreciate your opinion,
All right.
as I have my opinion.
Quick question is, because along some of the similar mindsets, is that, if I recall, it was either last meeting or the one prior, is that there were some contracts approved coupled with the grant even prior to that from Joe Irvin. And so there seems to be a lot of programs in this arena having to do with parent, I don't want to say intervention, but parent programs, or call them what you want. I keep seeing all these different programs, and as I said, they were voted on, not by me, from the last couple board meetings. I think there was like 3, 4, or 5 of them that were brought forward. So how's this one distinguishes itself better than all the other ones that were approved? And I mean, how many programs are we going to have? I mean, isn't there somebody that can come out and just do all the parent involvement or all the student involvement or what have you? And then I keep hearing and I understand the meaning behind it, but the Title I, I keep hearing that, or the Title I like. So we don't have enough time to get into all that, but it's just all these different programs that keep coming to the board. It's like, when is it going to stop? And literally, well, we're only choosing these 2 schools, and we're only choosing those 4 schools, or we're in this tier program of these 5 or 6 schools, and we're going to give them a booster shot of training, and how's that going to work? And so, if you pay attention, it's in the agenda. It's a booster. So the thing is at what point are we going to get to that? When is enough is enough?
Can you clarify what you mean by booster shot?
Can you just
No, I just want some clarification. You mentioned booster shot, and I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I'm not. So again, it's not mainly directed at you, Ms. Rodriguez. It's mainly directed over here. Is that at what juncture do we say, okay, how about we take a step back and review what we have and seeing how we move forward in an effective manner versus, well, this one's going to work for 2 schools and this one's going to work for 5 or whatever it is. So it's just, so we're going to choose a company for every school. So we're going to hire 40 different companies to come and help us. That makes a lot of sense.
President
So
Ledesma, may I address
how do we,
the question?
yeah.
May I address that?
Let the superintendent would like to.
Sure.
So during the last few years, like the Community Schools Grant, various grants we've received to support our parents and students are focused on meeting their needs during these challenging times. And we've been through a lot. And so we want to do everything possible we can for our children and our families to support them, to engage in the learning to be successful. We have a very diverse district. The needs at one school are never the same at another school. We have 40 schools that represent, we serve 8 different municipalities. We have different regions. Every school has unique needs. So we spend a lot of time, the executive directors, myself, Ms. Corella, meeting with principals and customizing programs with their teachers and with their families what they feel is best. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. We believe in going down to the local level, working with each school, each group of teachers, each family, and getting what is best for them. So it is integrated. It may appear, you see programs come in, it may appear like it's not integrated, but we teach the California academic standards. We put in supports so students can be successful in schools. Some of those supports may look different in different schools based on the needs of those students. And so, this program we think will be very effective. It's a very well-recognized program. The 7 mindsets are all about building potential in students and wanting to fulfill their successful dreams of what they want to be in college and careers. It's helping their parents to support them in that. It's all based on positive outcomes for students and supporting our teachers and filling those academic needs. So my recommendation is just to pull it off, and we'll bring it back, because if it's going to be voted down, I would hate for the staff that's already started to work on this not to have an opportunity to implement.
That's up to Mrs. Yamasaki.
Unless you think you could take a vote and you'd like to see how that turns out, that's fine too. It's up to the board.
I would like to vote on it because I think it's very important to the staff in a timely manner to get this going.
Okay.
And I really don't see any reasons not to go forward with it. And being that, during our school visits, I see how important it is when we see parents engaged with the students. Many times, I've been in the classrooms, and we could see another classroom going on where they're talking to parents and talking to them about how they can support their students best. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Yamasaki. So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
No. Okay, motion passes 4-3. Thank you.
Madison could abstain since she wasn't here. That's something that she could consider.
I think it passed anyway.
So what was the actual
it's
vote? Can I ask?
It was 4-3.
4-2-1.
Well, what's that?
I'll abstain.
Okay, so that's.
I don't have the information.
It's a 4-2-1. 4 approved, 2
4
no,
approve, okay.
and 1 abstain.
Thank you. I wasn't sure.
Got it?
Oh, approved, Mrs. Rumsey, Ms. Yamasaki. Okay. All right, so that takes care of all consent items. I'm going to move on to item 19, public comment. Anything non-agenda items, Ms. Rumsey?
No.
Okay, other business, board, staff, conference comments? Nothing? Okay, I will adjourn the meeting at 10:07. Thank you.
Hope everyone has a nice time off.
Merry Christmas.
Enjoy.